Ladies and gentlemen, do I have a show for you today? I've been getting a million questions about peptides, whether through DMs, whether through comments, whether through anywhere else at this particular point. So I have for you today, Brady Rude. And Brady is, let's call him not just a human biologist, but let's call him a natural practitioner. But I think we're going to evolve on that with him in a second. What I really want you all to know is I really want you to understand the basis of peptides and where they come from and what exactly you're looking for, okay? And the applications. And before we just keep going to take monkey see, monkey do, I want you also to understand, is that peptide right for you? Now, without further ado, let me introduce Brady.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Brady, give us your background because we want to hear a little bit more about you because I want to get you going. Let's rock.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I call myself is a functional medicine consultant. So primarily I work with practitioners. I'm not one myself. I don't give medical advice. Very important. However, my background is in neuroscience. I have a bachelor's in cellular and molecular neuroscience. I was pre-med and then kind of shifted into natural medicine. Worked at a naturopathic clinic for a year, opened my eyes to peptides and hormones and supplements and chronic illness that wasn't being treated in the traditional route. So I became enthralled with natural medicine, and the stars aligned and I got to work for some great people who are thought leaders in this space. And so I'm with a fantastic company now that I think is the most innovative in this space. So that's what I do. I consult practitioners on how to use these novel and innovative products, which of course include peptides and a whole bunch of other things that we'll get into.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Since we're on the chronic illness front for certain cases, because the host suffers from one, we're going to get into that from the start, and then we're going to break down the applications for others, both quality of life, optimization, and then I'm going to get into aesthetics with you in a little bit on that.
Awesome.
Okay. But I'm going to start with the first classic one. Body Protective Coating 157. Give me BPC 157.
Oh, absolutely. It's a lot of it's a lot of letters and numbers. Like why can't we have good normal names for peptides, right?
Like that, right?
Yeah, we'll get into even more. Like, what is CJC? So BPC 157, yeah, body protection compound. It's a 15 amino acid long sequence. So peptides, for anyone who doesn't know, they're really just mini proteins. So you take amino acids that are the building blocks of proteins. You take amino acids and you link them together for a smaller strand, and that's called a peptide. And so peptides are functional. I call them mini proteins that act like signaling molecules in the body. So I've heard people say it before, I'm not the one to come up with this, but they kind of like send text messages in your body. They tell your cells what to do. So what BPC does naturally in our body is it basically rejuvenates the entire GI lining. Every 3 to 5 days, you get basically a new GI lining. So I call it this master orchestrator of repair in the gut.
We've always said the statement, and I'm a big advocate of this one, all disease begins in the gut,
yeah.
Right? The Hippocrates statement, right? And, I got diagnosed in 2014, and, up until the week I got diagnosed, I didn't have any symptoms. So I got diagnosed on the Saturday, and I can tell you, Saturday, August 16th, 2014, I remember it like it's yesterday.
Wow.
Right? But I didn't have any symptoms that I noticed till Monday.
Gotcha.
Okay. But I will tell you, man, for maybe 25 years, my stomach was never right.
Sure.
And the symptoms had elongated and progressed till I got to that point.
Yeah.
Where I really got into peptides was I had a stint in 2022 on an incubator. On a ventilator.
Sure.
Right? And I realized right away, I need to find a way to band-aid the inflammatory process. And in the next year, I would come across peptides, and I really wasn't sure yet. I'm really looking for research. There isn't the research yet at that particular point. Until I have another episode, and I realize I'm a little desperate.
Totally.
And BPC seemed to turn around my gut in 3 days. all of a sudden the inflammation process went and the healing process doubled like at warp speed. I remember the only side effect I really had was, I remember playing in the backyard brawl, probably 99 maybe. And I break a couple tackles, safety holds me up. There's a defensive tackle weighing about 288, trailing on the play, and he lays on my ankle. And I get scoped 2 days later.
Gotcha.
And yeah, and in the South Florida rain season, or hurricane season as we would call it, right?
Yeah.
Man, I could tell you in the morning when it was raining or not. Real simply, the pressure will be there off the first step.
Wow.
I never need to see the sun.
Gotcha.
I never need to even look out the window.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, magically, that went away.
3 days into the BPC?
About 6.
That makes sense.
The gut went better at 7, at 3.
Yep.
The gut got better at 3.
Absolutely.
But the ankle probably took 6 to 7 days.
Yeah. Was this a capsule or was this an injection?
No, I was taking injectables. At the time, I was a little concerned about the capsules, as I had heard the absorption was about 29%.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Low permeability, but
Right. Although
Yes.
the only people I really heard were getting results at the time, as the research I had, and I'd like you to elaborate that in a bit, was functional medicine practitioners were using it to treat ulcerative colitis and Crohn's.
Absolutely.
And they were having success.
Absolutely.
But really, the absorption rate was stunted for everybody else.
We'll talk about why it works in the gut, but it doesn't. Yeah, so we'll talk about that. But injectable BPC, still healing the gut. You felt your ankle get better in 6 days. Yeah, that sounds like BPC.
At some point, I want you to evolve on the strips that have come out and how that's working, and the absorption rate on that as well.
Yeah, there's different delivery methods, and we'll talk about some of those for sure.
Great. My other question will be how to pick one at that point. But I'd like you to get into that.
Totally.
We'll start into also how to pick a peptide for you.
It's a great question. Yeah. So yeah, want me to answer that question?
Please, I'd love you to.
How to pick a peptide for yourself? Well, it depends on where you're at and what you're looking at. If you're looking for therapeutic peptides, then you need to understand the disease state. Like, let's say you're looking for something to heal you. You need to first understand the disease state, right?
Right.
Where is your physiology maybe going wrong, or where maybe do you have a place that needs attention? And then consult with a licensed provider, a practitioner, probably more functional, but to figure out what's best for you, right? But if you're trying to just like biohacking your way through it,
Right.
I would say one of the first things that you need to do is understand what peptides have the most research behind them, because there are some like trendy peptides, but there are some that move the needle. And there's some that do about 95% of the heavy lifting that have been studied a lot more than some of the other like newer peptides, right? So how do you pick one is you start with what's been studied, and then you have to figure out, if you're doing this on your own, which I don't recommend, I recommend absolutely using a healthcare provider, but you have to understand sourcing. And this is what healthcare providers have to understand as well. You have to find a high quality peptide. And so if you're dealing with injecting yourself, you need very high quality peptides, and not all peptides are created equally.
Hold on, we're going to get into that. Basically, what you're telling me is the lab quality matters.
100%.
The lab matters.
Yeah, because
the implementation matters. So go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Yeah, so
give
let's-
the audience that particular way. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's start with the beginning, right? Like we talked about what peptides are. BPC is a very popular peptide, and how are peptides made? Well, they're made by these synthesizers. They're like biotech, I don't want to say biotech companies, but these like biotech labs, very sophisticated labs. You hope. So you hope that they're super sophisticated, but they should be. And so they're made, and you get this bulk powder, and you do like a condensation reaction, and you're left with, you do like sequencing, condensation, a couple other steps, and you're left with powder peptide. But that powder has a purity level.
Right.
So good quality peptides are like 85% purity. High quality peptides are like 95% purity, and anything above 95 is usually considered like pharmaceutical grade.
Pharmaceutical grade.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So, what you really want to look for is purity that's as close to 100 as possible.
Right.
But you want to also look for third-party testing for your peptides. So you'll see like some companies or some like peptide vials, and they'll say like 99% purity, right? Or exceeds 99%. Well, go farther, ask them for a COA, ask that company for a certificate of analysis, so that way you can understand who tested that peptide. I was a teacher, so I say, like, if I let my students grade their homework, then they're all going to get 99% or 100. They're all A+ students, right? But you want a third-party testing, and you want it done at a lab that has a certification. So, ISO certification is a really high standard with labs. You go for that. Go for ISO certification or higher. That means the lab is following all the procedures that are put in place for them to have good processes. And if that is all in line, then your purity rating should be what it says it is.
I think that's quite a bit for the audience. That's excellent. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's go on to I'm going to move on to GL1s.
GLPs. Yeah.
Give me the yes.
Absolutely.
GLP-1. Go ahead.
Yeah, totally. So we have GLP-1, stands for glucagon-like peptide 1. It's a peptide that activates that receptor in the body, the receptor agonists. And GLP-1 is semaglutide. That's the one of the most popular ones. Brand name is Ozempic or Wegovy.
Right, Wegovy.
And so that's GLP-1. And then we have something called GLP-2, and that's tirzepatide. Exactly. So tirzepatide is brand name Zepbound and Mounjaro. And now we have a GLP-3, retatrutide, and there's actually a couple more GLPs, right, that people don't really talk about. I think, one starts with an L. It's like liraglutide, something like that. I probably said that wrong, but those are the 3 most popular. So what do they do? So semaglutide, GLP-1, basically it slows gastric emptying. So it signals the body to slow gastric emptying, which means you stay fuller longer. You stay fuller longer, shuts down what we call food noise to the brain. And so you don't eat as much, and usually you typically lose weight, and your blood sugar improves, and that's the primary mechanism there.
So we're shutting off both leptin and ghrelin at that point.
Yes, I would say so. I don't know if the physiology there, I don't want to claim that it does, but that's the mechanism, and GLP exists in our body naturally, right? So there's other things that GLP receptor agonists, peptides do, but in terms of weight loss, that's the primary mechanism of semaglutide. And so then we move to GLP-2. And why do they call it GLP-2? Because it has two
mechanisms,
modes of action. Exactly. So it's a GLP-1, it's a partial GLP-1. It partially slows gastric emptying. It's also a GIP, which stands for glucose-dependent insulinotropic factor peptide. GIP. And so what that does is it basically increases insulin signaling on a cellular level. And so we like tirzepatide in a lot of cases because it doesn't slow gastric emptying near as much. So you don't run as much of a risk as things like gastroparesis. You don't run as much of a risk of some of those like nausea and those side effects.
I see. Okay.
And you're also at the same time, you're working on insulin signaling at a cellular level, which is the really the core of aging, right? Like when we think of longevity peptides.
Right. Oh, the analogy I give everybody in the audience is Tufts University did a study, and the number one indicator of longevity was, to be honest, was sarcopenia, loss of muscle mass. Number 2 was insulin sensitivity.
Totally. Well, and the amount of muscle you have is very related to how your body uses sugar
as well. So
exactly. Yeah. So and what do we call like sugar is like everyone wants to say. Well, not everyone. Sugar, people are realizing, is kind of the demon here. Not in all cases we need sugar, but our body needs to use sugar properly. So if we can fix insulin signaling and fix the way our body uses sugar in the blood, then we can fix a lot of things. A lot of things start at that metabolic dysfunction. So that's why we love tirzepatide. And for most people, it's like a better peptide when you're looking at it tends to work better, and it tends to be better tolerated. So I'm not saying there's not a place for semaglutide. There absolutely is, and some people don't respond to tirzepatide.
Right.
And this is what we'll get into too. Like not every protocol for one person will work for somebody else.
Yeah, we were talking about earlier
yeah.
about workouts and exactly.
Yeah.
Every program's not exactly right for you.
Exactly.
Same response.
Exactly.
Yes.
And just to stay objective on these peptides, that's what tirzepatide is. And then retatrutide is GLP-3. It's basically tirzepatide with a glucagon molecule attached. And so,
Okay, so that's the third mechanism.
Exactly. As we change these peptides, or we edit these peptides to do different things in the body, they can kind of hit different targets or hit multiple targets.
Does it still have the slowing and the emptying of the other two?
Yes.
It does. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you still feel full, even though.
Yeah.
Now,
the data's still out. I mean, there's, it's been studied.
I recognize that one's not FDA approved yet.
Not yet.
And, but how do I say this? Your favorite physique competitor is all over it currently.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Why on the third mechanism? Any idea?
Well, the glucagon signals, I feel like some people report that they lose fat a little bit better on retatrutide.
Right. Yeah, that's.
So there's a little bit more of that like metabolic component to it.
Is it also less muscle wasting than the other two?
I don't know. I have to check on that. I'll be honest. I haven't worked with people who are on retatrutide near as much as semaglutide and tirzepatide.
I'm guessing because it's not FDA approved.
Well, yeah, it's hard to get, and it's also a little bit more expensive when you look at the
I've heard that too.
Yeah, so and this is where a lot of people want to know what the newest, like, hottest peptide is.
Right.
Make sure that you've tried the most studied peptide first.
Before.
Yeah, exactly,
great.
because that one might work just as well for you.
Right.
But there's a lot to be said about GLP-1. So one of the things is supporting your protocols.
Side effects.
Absolutely. So let's talk about side effects. That's slowing of gastric emptying. Also slows processes like bile release from your gallbladder.
Right.
Which bile is created in the liver, and it moves with toxins out of the liver. Toxins and bile move together through the gallbladder. If you have one, if you don't, then it just slow drips out of the liver.
Right.
They go into the GI, right? So bile kind of washes your upper GI, sort of acts as a motility agent, helps keep things moving, and it emulsifies fats for digestion, right? Of course. But when you slow gastric emptying, you slow down the bile flow. And when you slow down bile flow, you slow down toxin release from your liver. And so what can happen is you can lose all this weight, right? You're losing a lot of fat. Well, a lot of toxins are stored in fat. So all of a sudden your adipocytes, your fat cells, those are shrinking. And when those shrink, they have less room for toxins, so they throw the toxins out, which is typically a good thing. But those toxins, they go out of your cells, into your blood, they go to your liver. And if your bile's not flowing, then they don't get out of the liver, they go back into the blood. And so all of a sudden you have more toxins, and this could be part of the reason that people get fatigue and brain fog when they're on semaglutide or tirzepatide or any of these GLPs. And then there's another side of it too, but that's one mechanism that isn't talked about a lot.
Now, on that mechanism particularly, let me ask this question.
Absolutely.
If I got moving and I got sweating and I got rid of my lymphatic system flowing, I would detox those a little bit better, wouldn't I?
Absolutely, totally.
Okay. I think sometimes there are people running to them before they made lifestyle changes to support them.
Yeah.
And I think that's become the biggest issue.
Totally. Let me
continue.
Let me just define, or not really define, but make it clear that like peptides, and people know this, but peptides are really great tools. But that's what they are. They're tools. They're not magic bullets, right? You don't build a house with one tool.
Exactly.
So you use multiple, and they're really good tools.
Right.
If a supplement is a handsaw, a peptide is a power saw. But again, you have to use all of them, a holistic program, wisely, slowly, and responsibly. Because when you're dealing with powerful peptides and powerful tools, you have to respect those. So,
can I go into? Okay, so we'll go from there, and I want to on the.
You want to talk about more side effects of GLPs?
Please continue.
Yeah, totally.
This is part 2.
Absolutely. So you have that mechanism, right, where you slow down that detox process from your liver. Right? Then you have the other mechanism where you're literally eating less, and so a lot of people's nutrient profiles, their nutrient status, we call it, drops significantly. They stop eating, they stop getting minerals, they stop getting vitamins,
Right.
and so now they're tired. Those are also the vitamins and minerals and nutrients that are important in weight loss, right? Weight loss is an expensive process. It's fat burning, it's metabolizing fat and utilizing that. So you need to make sure your nutrients are on board. And then
offset the oxidative stress that comes with that, by the way, as well.
exactly, right? Yeah, exactly. So you have less detox, less nutrients, less minerals, and then you have the muscle wasting, and that's one of the long-term side effects of not doing these programs right.
I think people need to understand, if you were on this standard American diet for that particular point, and you weren't getting enough nutrition to begin with, and then you cut the amount you're consuming, I'm still not pulling enough nutrition from those foods, so I kind of need to learn how to eat first.
Totally.
Before to support the program, right? You'll get an extreme result. The issue becomes, am I supporting the result or not? And I think, as you said, they're tools.
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the best things you can do while on GLPs, this is something that I actually coach my providers on, is use some form of bitters. You know, I don't want to talk too much about my company just to keep it objective, but you know, we do have a fantastic bitters product. It's like a liposomal bitters. When I say bitters, we're thinking bitter herbs. So things like myrrh, solidago, dandelion root, gentian root. Those are all what we call cholagogues. Cholagogues mean it stimulates bile flow. So you can eat these too. Right? You can eat bitter foods. We don't do it enough, and we should, but you can also, like, aromatic bitters that you put in your drink.
I don't think people realize the nutrient profile of those. How quick they are and water soluble. Yeah,
the reason, I think, somebody can correct me, but I'm pretty sure the reason that we put them in like an old fashioned is rooted in the fact that it's so protective of the liver that we want to put that in our drinks. Right,
exactly.
So, there's a story, and I'm not going to repeat it, but basically it was an art. Well, because I don't know the details, but it was some kind of army or military general who was able to get one thing for his soldiers, and they were in the jungle, right? And he asked for bitters, and they all stayed healthy for the most part because their liver was able to process all the toxins and the allergens and all of that. So anyways, bitters is a great way to start. Phosphatidylcholine it is the building block of all of our cell membranes, and we're literally made of cells, so cell membranes are everywhere. So I highly recommend phosphatidylcholine. It's also a source of choline, which you know very well.
Yes, I'm a big we've always talked about nootropics on the show, and I'm a huge fan of alpha gamma phosphocholine, and any precursor to make acetylcholine, because obviously I suffer from a condition that blocks the absorption of acetylcholine.
So we have phosphatidylcholine, which is a crucial component of cell membranes. We have choline, which is like also very important in the body like that. And then you have acetylcholine. So we need to have a source of all of those. And one of the best sources is eggs.
Egg yolk,
egg yolk. So it's like, eggs are so healthy for us because if you think about an egg yolk, everything you need for life is in that yolk.
I would agree.
Right? Well, it has to, right? Or else the egg wouldn't be able to turn into a chicken. It's
funny because we'll always battle the cholesterol thing, and 85% of the cholesterol is made in your liver.
Yeah, it is.
And it's kind of ridiculous sometimes to even, we got on a show once on statins already that'll come out later.
Awesome.
So don't just,
totally. So phosphatidylcholine, bitters, a multivitamin, you know, Quicksilver Scientific makes a fantastic multivitamin. It's called Ultravitamin. It's a nanoliposomal, which is like a small particle that has a membrane that delivers the supplements through your mucosal lining, gets directly into the blood, and so you bypass the digestive tract, which is the most hostile part of the body. You absorb like 10 to 15% of capsules and pills you take, but with these you're absorbing much more through the mucosal lining. And so that will ensure that your nutrients stay high.